Good morning, students. Welcome back to the SST class. I hope you all are doing well. So, today we will start the new chapter of history, that is chapter number 5, Colonialism and the Tribal Society. In this chapter, we discuss about the changes in the tribal life under the colonial rule, and the next is how discontentment led to tribal revolts in the different parts of India. So, let me start the chapter with a small introduction. A tribe is a group of people united by a common name, language, and culture. All who share common ties of the kinship are supposed to belong to the same tribe. They are also referred as Adivasi. So, Adivasis and tribes are those people who living in a forest for thousands of years. India has been home of several tribes like the Khons, Mundas, Santals, and Khasis. Students, as we know that India has always been a rich nation in a term of cultural diversity. Indian craftsmanship has been very popular among many nations. However, the British rule did not only affect our social structure but also our industries and traditional crafts. Their colonial ambitions and increasing greed for wealth compelled them to act brutally on Indian people, be it on mainstream society or the tribal of the country. In short, colonialism affected every social group in our society. Even the tribal societies are also included in it. As we have seen in the previous chapters, the British became the supreme political power in India by the middle of the 19th century. A large part of the country was under their direct control. A large number of rulers and the local zamindars were dispossessed of their land. In this chapter, we will discuss the changes within tribal societies and their economies due to the British colonialism. Important tribal revolts and their effect are also we discussed in this chapter. So let me start our chapter with first topic. The topic is changes in the tribal life. The tribal people lived in forest and relied on the natural resources available to them for their livelihood. Tribal societies has their own culture, customs, rituals and beliefs. The tribal people often practiced hunting and food gathering for their subsistence in earlier times. Over the centuries, many of the tribal communities integrated into the mainstream cultural through peasantization. What is peasantization, students? See, peasantization is the process in which tribes start following settled agricultural practice due to their contact with the mainstream non-tribal societies. So next come to the next topic. The next para is in the 19th century, many of the tribes still lived in forest, while some were hunter-gatherers, others reared cattle and sheep and led a pastoral way of life. Once the pasture area of a place got exhausted, they moved to the greener pasture land. Even today, the tribes of Gadis of Himachal Pradesh, these are the tribes of Himachal Pradesh, they are called Gadis, Bakkarwals of Jammu and Kashmir and Rebaris of Rajasthan. They are the people of tribes, they follow the pastoral way of life. Some tribal community practiced jhum or shifting agriculture by burning the vegetation of a small land to use it for cultivation. They used the ash as a fertilizer and scattered seeds in the stretched soil to grow crops instead of plugging. After harvesting the crop, the tribes shifted to other area for cultivation. The cultivation field was left fallow for many years and was allowed to regain natural vegetation. Some tribes like Mundas of Chota Nagpur, though adopted settled agriculture, preferred to remain away from the mainstream societies. Students, shifting agriculture is also called as a Swidden farming. The tribes often they practice Swidden farming rather than the intensive farming. Swidden farming is also known as shifting cultivation, which is widely used in forest areas. So let's come to the next para. Though each tribal society was unique in their custom and beliefs, one common factor bothered them all during the 19th century, the beginning of interference from outsiders. With the growing authority of British colonialism, the self sufficient and peaceful lives of the tribes were disrupted and they bitterly resented the British. Students, according to the para, listen, हम सभी जानते हैं, हम सबकी अपनी एक दुनिया होती है, ठीक है, हम सब उस दुनिया में खुश रहते हैं, बट जैसे ही कोई अनजान, कोई आउटसाइडर आकर हमें डोमिनेट करे, हमारे राइट्स में इंटरफेयर करे, हमारे कस्टम ट्रेडिशंस में इंटरफेयर करे, तो वी डोंट लाइक इट ना. तो ये तो वो ब्रिटिशर्स थे जिन्होंने इंटायरली दीज फॉरेस्ट या जो ये ट्राइबल्स थे, आदिवासीज थे, इनकी लाइफ को बहुत बुरी तरह से अफेक्ट किया था. तो देन दे स्टार्टेड रिवॉल्ट अगेंस्ट द ब्रिटिश रूल फॉर देयर सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट, to protect their own culture, to protect themselves. So let we start the chapter with the different kinds of revolts started by the tribes people. So see students, the next topic is construction of a railway network cutting across tribal land. The British required faster means of transport and communication to rule over the vast expanse of its colonial territory in India. Therefore, the British built a railway in different parts of the country. There was the large scale destruction of forest in the early years of the railway expansion. This meant that the large number of tribes were driven out of their land areas. In order to have easy access to forest, land and wood, the British government created a forest department in 1864. Rules and regulations that threatened the tribal way of life came into existence. See students, according to the para, listen, during the British colonial period, the economic and administrative policies adversely affected tribal communities. The Forest Regulation Act of 1865 empowered the British government to declare any land covered with the trees as government authority. The act made no provisions regarding the rights of the tribes. At several places, the land settlement measures affected their tradition of joint ownership of land areas. According to the rules and regulations of 1864, like see, the point number 1 which is mentioned here, see, forests were declared as a state property. The next point is small blocks of reserved forest were created in the hilly areas like Kumaon and Garhwal to furnish permanent supply of fuel and timber. And the last is rules were framed for regulating the chopping of trees for fuel and fodder by villagers and tribal people. All these measures directly affect the settlement pattern and survival modes of the Indian tribes. So students, let's come to the next topic, that is British policy towards tribe. During the British rule, commercialization of agriculture, tightening of government control over the forest zone for revenue purpose and utilization of forest wealth for the benefit of the urban population resulted in the penetration of tribal area by the outsider. These include moneylenders. The outsiders, they are the moneylenders, the contractors, traders and the government officials who for their own interests distributed the social, cultural and economic lives of the tribes and exposes them to exploitation. The Christian missionaries were also active in some of the tribal areas and sometimes created hostile feelings among the tribes. The tribes resented the intrusion of these outsiders in their society. Their resentment resulted in occasional violent outbursts against the British government, which were termed as tribal revolts. Students, whatever the rules and regulations were made by the Britishers, the tribes, they were not happy with all these changes. They declared the British rule as a alien rule. Angered by their watched condition, the tribals revolted. They challenged the alien rule, whether they may be British officials, their agents, traders, moneylenders, middlemen, or unlike. The powerful tribal revolts of this period were quite common in the Chota Nagpur and the northeast region of the country. They were the Bhils of Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, the Mundas in Bihar, the Khols in Bihar, Bengal, and Orissa, the Khons of Orissa, the Meras in Rajasthan, the Khasis in Meghalaya, and that of Santals in the Bihar and Bengal. So let me start a topic. Different kinds of revolts started by the tribes. First is the Santals. Tribes such as Santals of Hazaribagh, which is present day in Jharkhand, resented the exploitation done by the Mahajanas or moneylenders. These Mahajanas are called moneylenders. The Santhal had traditionally been growing cocoons and produced silk and sell in the local market. When the British came to know about it, they sent their agents to the Santhals who would pay them in advance and collect the cocoons from them. The growers would be paid in a nominal amount of cocoons were exported to urban markets at a very high price by these Mahajanas and moneylenders. So let me start our next topic. The next topic is tribal revolts in eastern India. The Khons occupied a large tract of territory called Khon Mals, neighboring Orissa. They revolted in 1846. The revolt was suppressed in 1848 and they finally submitted to the British rule. The Santhal inhabiting the territory of Bihar adjoining Bengal advocated and it is revolted in 1855 to 56. Their main grievance were against the oppression of these Mahajanas and moneylenders. The Santhal rebelled under the leadership of two brave brothers, Sindhu and Kanu. The Santhals, their revolt was directly against all outsiders, including the British officials, police, zamindars, and moneylenders. They used a term which is called Dikhu. The term Dikhu used by the Santhals for all non-natives. The meaning of the Dikhu is outsider. Kanu, Bhairo, Sindhu and other Santhal leaders got supported from the large number of potters, weavers and blacksmiths, etc. In 1870, the Kharwar rebellion took place in 1882. The Kachha Nagas of Chhachar revolted under the leadership of Sambhu Budhan of Phonglo. Now, the next topic is revolts in the Chota Nagpur region. Students, many tribes inhabited in Chota Nagpur region around the border of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. This region witnessed many tribal movements. Similarly, the northeast was another important hub of the tribal uprising. Let's have a brief look at some of the revolts that took place in these regions during the British period. So, let me start the next topic, that is tribal revolt in central India. The Ho tribes of Chota Nagpur was led by petty chieftains. One of them, the Raja of Ohrat, resisted the British but was forced to pay an annual tribute to the British, yet his subject did not allow the British to enter their territory. They submitted only in 1827 when the British burned several of their villages and killed a large number of people. See this line, students. The Mundas, another tribe in Chota Nagpur, revolted in 1831 and were joined by the Hos. The revolt spread over the large area including Ranchi, Hazaribagh, Palmau and the Manubham. It could be supported only after extensive military operations in March 1832. The Hos, however, remained reluctant to submit. The military operations were carried out against them again in 1836 and 1837 till they finally gave in. In 1899 to 1900, Birsa Munda revolted in the areas around Ranchi. The Mundas were aggrieved by the ever-growing encroachment by the outsiders. Birsa Munda was born and brought up in Chaibasa area. It is present day in Jharkhand. Now students, I am going to tell you about the Munda rebellion. In the last decade of the 19th century, as the monsoons failed, the situation became worse. Faced with starvation and epidemic, the Mundas rose up the rebellion against the British. They were led by Birsa Munda. Birsa Munda was born in Ulihatu in Ranchi in Jharkhand. He gained a lot of popularity among the masses. He advocated the rights of Mundas as the real property owners of the soil and sought to abolish the existence of middlemen. However, he was captured by the British in 1900. Soon he died in captivity in the Ranchi jail. In 1900, Birsa died of cholera. The British were able to suppress the Munda movement immediately after the death of Birsa Munda. After the death of Birsa Munda, the British government attempted to redress the grievance of the Mundas through the survey and settlement operations of 1902 to 10. The Chota Nagpur Tennessee Act of 1908 banned Beth Begari in Chota Nagpur. Chota Nagpur tribals won a degree of legal protection of their land rights. So students, it's enough for today. Rest of the chapter we will complete in next video.